What's up, y'all? This is Jacques Tassi of the Jacques, repping Haiti, and you're watching New York Caribbean. JACQUES. What's up, y'all? My name is Jacques Tassi, owner and founder and designer of the Jacques Custom Fashion. Here at the Jacques, we cater to people who are wanting to represent themselves, who take a lot of pride in their nationalities, no matter who you are, whether you live in Europe, United States, mostly the Caribbean. We just give people a way to represent themselves and show pride in where they're from and who they are.
What inspired the Jacques clothing line?
I'm Haitian. I was born in Haiti, Jacques Mel, and I wanted a way to show people where I was from. And I thought the Haiti flag was a beautiful flag, and I also wanted other people to represent where they're from. I decided to customize and put it on clothing, and I tried it, it worked out, and it really took off.
In reference to being born in Haiti, how would you tie your Haitian influences in your clothing line?
Everybody loves Haiti. I love Haiti, the way, and I just felt like if I put in different designs and basically represented the flag the way I wanted, other people would like it. And I tried it, and other people felt like they wanted to represent themselves, and I give people a variety of different styles, from hoodies to tees, sleeves. I customize all types of styles, and people, you know, they love it.
What was your very first design? And also, you spoke earlier about the fact that you taught yourself how to sew. Give me the process about that, like when you were learning how to sew at first.
I had no sewing background. I didn't have my mom who was a seamstress, my dad who was a tailor. I didn't go to school. I pretty much brought a sewing machine and I just tried it out one day. I looked at YouTube, I researched a lot, I made a lot of mistakes. I had an idea to make flag sleeves. The very first Jacques shirt was pretty much taking the flag and putting it on the sleeve of a shirt. I remember when I first did it was looking crazy. I finally got it right and I put it on and I took a picture and put it online, and the very first comment was, "How much is that shirt?"
At some point you were involved in the music industry. So give me a little bit of background about that, and then tell me how that you actually worked your way into going from hip hop into the clothing thing.
Well, originally growing up, I was a hip hop artist by the name of Spark, and then I went to Quest. I worked with various producers. I really went hard, got signed, and hip hop was cool. I really enjoyed it. I love the creativity of making songs and putting it out in the public and being able to show my talent and skills. It was cool, but I felt like at that point I needed to find a new passion, something else, and I didn't really know where to get into. I caught the idea of being a clothing designer. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew that I had to go to a fabric store and just put two and two together, in which I did. So I transitioned from hip hop to clothing. Now the way I tie both of them in is when I used the same fundamentals that I did with hip hop for marketing. Pretty much taking a song, it's like taking a shirt, designing it, rapping a song, making a shirt, putting it out into the public like it's the best song you ever heard. Like this is the best shirt you ever heard. And those are the little transitions, the little things that I learned from hip hop marketing, dedication, being in the same way I was in the studio making a song, devoting my 5-6 hours making the songs the same way I'm in front of a sewing machine, devoting my 5-6 hours to make the shirt. Those are the disciplines that I learned from hip hop that I transitioned. As far as the talent, I just like any song, you give it a try. You never know if it's gonna be a hit, you don't know. So same thing with making a shirt. I had a design, an idea, I executed it. It works out, it works out. If it doesn't, I move on to the next design. I think marketing, as far as the way I market the Jacques, social media is the forefront to marketing. That's it. Instagram, I call it the moneygram. Instagram. Instagram is very big. I use all the popular formats, Facebook and Instagram. Facebook ads. I set aside a budget, what I want to do. I search for my target audience. My target audience are fairly the Caribbean culture, Jamaica, Haiti, Trinidad. And I do my research, even census research, of the population that live in certain areas. Those are my targets, Haitians from Florida. Right now I'm doing Puerto Rican Day Parade. I went on the Census Bureau, find out what's the population of Puerto Ricans in which area. Find out Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and New York. Those are the targets. So pretty much I go online and I just use my marketing tool to generate business, and I think that's very, very important. I have no storefront, so this is what I have to really concentrate on doing. So social media, benefits the Caribbean culture. Everybody's online, you know. And what makes social media easy to really find a certain culture is hashtags. You hashtag Haiti, or even hashtag the Jacques, I show up. You hashtag Haiti, everything that deals with Haiti comes up. I hashtag Haiti a lot.
This is Kellyanne Ross Daniel. I am from Grenada, representing HARD, and this is New York Caribbean.
What was the most difficult challenge in creating getting your line started?
One of the difficult challenges is sewing. I went through about four sewing machines. You gotta know which one's the best ones. They typically do the same thing, but the skill of sewing, like I said, I never went to school for it. One guy brought a shirt for me, and I had just started, so my sewing was good, but wasn't where it should be. And the guy was in the club, and he was listening to "Everybody Hands Go Up," and he said, as soon as he did that, the sleeves came off. And he was like, and they stay there, up, down, up, down. And I remember he called me, and he was cool about it. He was like, hey dude, I put my hands up and my sleeves came out. and he said, it was actually cool because you're the first designer that was able to turn my sleeves into a vest. And I actually wore it the whole night, just like that. And that was the time when I realized, you need to learn how to sew a little bit better. Customer service too as well. Customers call me with issues. Keep the shirt, I'll send you another one. Getting it right. You gotta learn from your mistakes. You can't be afraid to make mistakes. And I think that's what everybody is afraid to do. The first thing is an excuse. I don't know how to sew. Learn how to sew. I don't know how to design. Just give it a try. Nobody is born with it. You just have to just give it a shot. And I did it with the Jacques. I remember I came from hip hop. So you have this gangster rapper who transitions to sitting in front of a sewing machine. That normally doesn't happen. Usually rappers want to own the company, like a Sean John, but this rapper went from like rapping to sitting in front of a sewing machine, and you know, it took my fans a little bit of time to get adjusted to seeing that, but they appreciate it and they support it. You know, like anything, you can't get mad at somebody doing something good for themselves. So my weapon of choice with designing is Brother. Brother's a very good company, they're reliable. Warranty's great, so if they break, you can always call them and they'll get it fixed or replace it. Now this is called a Brother serger stitch. Now it's an overlock stitch. Anytime you're combining two clothings together, you always want a fine stitch like you almost brought it from the store. And this is what that does. This is just a regular sewing machine, which is good for straight stitching. You gotta have different weapons of choice. As you can see, this is one of my favorites. Basically what I'm doing is I'm hemming the end of a flag, Haiti flag. You never want to leave it raw because what happens when you wash it, it frizzles out. Back stitch, never forget the back stitch.
Yeah, how does that work?
Back stitching? Yeah. Pretty much there's a button here and it locks the sewing in. So if you see a thread and you pull it and it comes apart, that's what back stitching is, secures it to make sure that won't happen. There you are. It's actually the sleeve of a shirt. Comes around like this. So now what I would do is, remember what I told you in the serger, you want that fine, you want to combine it, but you want it to look good. You want that fine stitch. So you run it through a serger. As you can see in the serger, there's a needle that actually cuts and then sews over it. It overlocks it. And I'll show you. See that? When you flip it over to wear it as a sleeve, look at that, nice and clean, baby. Nice and clean. Now what I would do is from that point, so I would take it to the shirt. And I would match it up inside out, keep the shirt inside out. This. Match up the hems. Now this is the original hem that was originally on the shirt. You don't want to use that. And when you run it through a surgery, it actually cuts that hem down.
What would you want to tell any would-be up-and-coming designers who are interested in getting into this game?
If you're gonna do it with passion, do it with meaning. Let it represent you. Keep growing, let it get big. Create your machine, constantly keep learning. That's the key that nobody don't really think. You have to keep learning. Don't come into the game thinking you're the man. Be humble, keep learning, keep designing. Make it into something that you wanna do. Don't get into it because you wanna make a quick 200 bucks to go buy Jordans. It doesn't work like that. I've had it for 3 years and I can honestly say I didn't start making any money until my 3rd year. My first 2 years was money coming out my own pockets. Constantly buying, investing in myself, not knowing if this was gonna work. I remember making shirts for somebody and making so many shirts and looking at my bank account like it's still negative and I just made like 20 shirts. Something is wrong, but that's the process of learning. That's the process of knowing. It's more than just making a shirt and selling. It's growing your business, understanding the business, not just printing and sewing machines.
Thank you for being on New York Caribbean.
This is New York Caribbean.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to New York Caribbean. I'm here with singer-songwriter, producer, and clothing store owner as well.
Well, a website.
Website, okay.
Yeah.
Estelle, right here on New York Caribbean. We're here to talk about your newest release.
Yes.
And let's give me a little bit about it.
Well, the song is called Love Like Ours. It's part of my album coming up in September.
Okay.
I'm really excited. It features Tavish Riley.
Okay.
It's a whole feeling. It's nuts when you get to work with an artist that you love and then they come up and they sum up your whole album vibe.
Okay.
You know, like in one quick session. It's kind of cool.
Okay. Now, you're 5 albums deep.
Yeah.
And this album in particular is an entire reggae album.
Well, it's reggae, Afrobeats, African music, soca. It's all roots music to me. What I did was with this album was I just kind of didn't fight the flow.
Okay.
You know, I said, well, this feels like all this music I'm making feels like reggae, feels like dancehall, feels like soca, feels like jump up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with it.
Okay. So what informs you to be able to produce an album of that caliber? Because you obviously you have your albums that are all different from each other.
Yeah.
And their sound. But what made it so that you decided I want to do an Afrobeat, almost like tying in the Caribbean? You're almost like united the Caribbean as a whole.
Well, my whole this album, I made it because I was I started the subjects in this album based off of the fact that my parents are like. I love my parents. I think they're amazing people.
Okay.
And their story was that they had me. They met, they had me, they broke up for 20 years, and then they got back together for 10 years, and then they got married. They've been married for the past 4 years.
Okay.
And to me, their whole story just kind of like changed my personal perspective on love and relationships, where in the last albums, you'll see I'm not very good at it. I kind of like end up wondering and questioning and wondering and hoping, and it never quite works out.
Okay.
Still not married, it's not the be all and end all, but I wanted to figure this out.
Okay.
And so with this story, the subject to this album, I wanted to kind of
You can hit me
tackle
anytime,
that.
Estelle.
No. I wanted to figure out what I was doing wrong, and as I started writing the songs, it started to make sense, and I started to tell their story.
Okay.
And it's starting to make sense to me now, why I behave the way I behave.
Okay.
So, and it was kind of apt because when I was young, this is all I remember about my parents was reggae, dancehall, African music, soca. This is music in the house when I walked in the house. It was a jump up. It was it was a vibes. It was
Okay.
And so that's what we are, and that's what we grew up with. So the vibe of it made perfect sense.
Your parents are Senegalese descent.
My mom is Senegalese.
Your mom is Senegalese.
Sierra Leone, yeah.
Okay.
And my dad is Grenada, Trinidad.
Okay. So your father's side, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
it has a bigger influence on the Caribbean side.
Yeah, but by default of like living there, but my mom, I didn't grow up with my dad. I grew up with my stepdad, and my mom would have that in the house though.
Okay.
My mom and my grandma, we all have like reggae music and Bob Marley and that type of music in the house as standard. It wasn't like, well, go to your dad's or go to your, it was like, no, this is what we all listened to. It was never a thing. My mom was deeply in it. My mom loved the music. My dad was a musician, session musician and a drummer, and played and wrote with a lot of reggae and lovers rock artists back in the day. So it wasn't new to us as a family or me.
Okay.
But I didn't necessarily directly get it from my dad. I got it from just being at home with my mom.
Okay. Now, where was the spark when you decided
I want to sing.
I was like 3.
Okay, so you were 3 years
People would
old.
say like, what? I do remember a period when I saw Bob Marley just like at the Rainbow Room on TV, and I was like, you know, I had a whole breakdown. Like, he was singing, and I think he was Zimbabwe or Zimbabwe, and he was like singing, and he was like, you know, hitting it, and he was moving, and I just remember being like, oh my God. I feel like that was a point where whether I know it or not, I was like, I'm gonna do this, you know? It came a couple more times in my years.
Okay.
When I was 17, I was like, I'm gonna do music.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep a job, but I'm gonna do music.
Okay.
Then I got made redundant. I was like, well, I'm just gonna do music because I love this. I hear you, God, all right. You know, it was kind of God was just like, do this. I
Okay.
kept trying, and he was like, do this.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of my decisions and a lot of my actions have been based off of that.
Okay. Awesome. Now, let's say that you opted out of not doing the music thing. What would it be
There's no
the
option
second
for that.
option? Okay, so you
There's
did
no
that.
option for
So
that.
you literally,
There's no option for that.
you were dedicated to doing music from day one, pretty much. Like once you felt that you got
Absolutely.
involved in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I did everything around it. I guess more to learn about it.
Sure.
But I kind of knew I was gonna do music, and there was no real four ways about it.
Okay.
You know, everything just kind of kept directing me to it too. So
Okay.
it was like, well, girl, what are
Okay.
you doing? Just
Got it.
go on and do it.
Was there ever a point in time where you tried several different things that you knew that it's almost like driving to the same direction, but you're also
Taking
veering off
different
course?
routes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I said, I did all the jobs around it. So
Okay.
I was a runner for a production company that did animation and TV work,
Okay.
which is strange because it kind of comes back around. And now I also do a voiceover for a character
Okay.
in an animation
Okay.
called Garnet.
Tell me a little bit about that once you get around to that. Okay.
I did video production too.
Okay.
I used to work on video sets and, you know, make music videos. I wanted to know how to make them, so I went and found a job figuring out how to make them.
Sure.
I was a journalist.
Okay.
So we've done this.
You know what you're right.
Right, I know what you're
Absolutely,
doing.
okay.
Right. So, you know, I've done all of these things that were kind of around being an artist. I've
Okay.
done vocal training. I've been like the arranger, the writer, the producer. I've made beats. I've arranged beats. I've produced beats. You
Okay.
know, and I still do it now.
Got
I
it.
feel like God gave me all these little platforms to figure out, to learn, to know a bit about,
Okay.
so that when I came my time, I
Okay.
know what I was doing. What's going on? It's your girl Estelle, and you are watching New York Caribbean.
You mentioned that, so you went from all these different avenues, and now you have a clothing line, and you also mentioned the fact that you did your voiceover for a character.
Yeah.
So obviously through animation.
Yeah.
How did you get that?
Well, I have an online retail store, and this is more just
Okay.
me helping people who believe in me and who give me things.
Okay.
I do fashion, and
Okay.
I feel like I dress pretty awesomely sometimes.
Okay.
And people will give me things, and sometimes they didn't have like 50,000 pieces to give to, say, a big store.
Sure.
So we created a space, me and my former stylist created a space where they could live, and
Okay.
also include homeware and
Got it.
candles and things like beauty, you know,
Okay.
luxury beauty and things that are specifically for black girls.
Oh, okay.
You know, but also anyone can use them because we have everything in the range. They have
Okay.
everything in their ranges. So, you know, just a great place for niche, beautiful things and
Okay.
niche, amazing pieces that you may not find on, say, I don't know, in Bloomingdale's or Macy's, but
Okay.
you know you're gonna get one attack.
Okay.
You know,
Got it.
and Garnet is Steven Universe, the juggernaut of life. It's wonderful. It's a whole fandom. It's beautiful.
Okay.
I love them.
Awesome,
She's
awesome.
the lead character of the Gems.
Okay. If you had to do a collaboration on your
Yeah.
next album,
Yeah.
and you had an ideal person who you wouldn't pick out, or someone that you actually have not worked with yet, what person would you want
know,
them to
I'm
be?
always gonna say Mary J. Blige, and I'm probably gonna say Mary J. Blige till I get to work with Mary J. Blige.
Okay.
No, I love her. She's amazing.
Okay.
She's the best. She's been the best. She's still the best. She's always gonna be the best.
Okay. You play instruments?
Me, yeah, a little bit piano, a
Okay.
bit guitar.
Okay.
Not very good because nails.
Okay.
But
But you play enough where you can apply it to your writing?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and that's what you do a lot of
That's
times.
exactly what I do. Yeah.
Okay, in reference to producing your latest tune.
Yeah. This is Super Dupes. I had nothing to do with Love Like Ours.
Okay, so
Super Dupes did it all. I was in the room like, that sounds great. We good.
Okay. Oh, really? So you
Rock
know
out.
this? Okay.
Super Dupes and Khan, and they put it together and it sounds beautiful.
Okay, well, let's talk about the American Connection. So, where is it out of your 5 albums? Where is it where the point was the Kanye connection? And I
was
won't
the
stay
second
on
album.
for very long. So that was album number 2.
That's album number 2, Shine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So literally, And how did that come together? And then how did that transcend from maybe the UK and outside of that coming into the United States?
Well, my very first album in the UK did its thing and had 2 top 20 singles,
Okay.
top 15 singles even though both within that space. I can't remember the numbers, but they did really well and outshone itself, you know?
Okay.
I had John Legend on my very first album,
Okay.
which is just what the hell, you know, when
Yeah.
you think about it. And so I go to my label and I'm like, yo, I want him to help me write, you know, he wants to exec produce the second album.
Okay.
And they were like, who? And I was like, the guy who just won 500 Grammys and is on my first album. What do you mean? You know, like
Okay.
they were so oblivious to what was actually happening.
Okay.
And with my career, I was like, let me go, because I could find a better deal with
Okay.
better people. So,
Got
you
it.
know,
And that's how you ended up
I
with
ended up
VP.
with John. No, well, that's how I ended up with John Legend.
John Legend,
in the
okay.
US over there. And as
Okay.
we moved along, I've become independent, and I've had my own label for the last album.
Oh,
and
okay.
this is why I did a partnership with VP.
Okay, so you're running your own label now,
Yes.
and that expands your Estelle empire.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so VP Records is your distributor per se, and
well,
you
yeah,
are
partner.
Okay, so
They're
the
partners.
partner put that together.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the process like in putting that together, the partnership?
Very easy.
Okay,
You know, they do what
Mr.
they
One of the
do.
record
They're
label
great. They're great. VP are great at what they do,
Okay.
and we do what we do. We've been doing it for a while. My team are like 20, 30 years in the business, so it made perfect sense. It's not rocket science.
okay,
Make some great music, figure out how you put it out. Put it out.
okay. Everyone's had their failures before they had the successes.
Yeah.
Where do you finally feel that? Was there ever a point where you said, okay, this is really not working for me?
Never.
Or did you say pushed it right
It
through?
wasn't more of a failure thing in music more than a failure in life thing. I
Okay.
had that music is my life, so
Okay.
before I even got on, I had a period of like, oh God, I don't even want to live anymore.
Okay.
I had that kind of depressed, about to end it all moment. And at the moment, I literally was like standing there with pills in one hand, like, am I just gonna swallow these? My phone rings in the other hand, and it's someone saying, hey, come out here and come and DJ, MC on a gig with me. And I was like, all right, let's go
Okay.
do that, you know? And from that point on, I've never looked back. I've never ever thought that I'd have to, that God wouldn't ever have my back if I wanted to do something, wanted to do this music thing. So, this is like, so it's never been like, this isn't a job for me. This isn't you're here for the sake of it. I feel like I do music because I love it. This is what I'm here for. I'm very
Okay.
clear about why I'm here.
Okay. Last question. If someone wanted to actually go into the music business, what would you recommend to them?
Make sure you love it.
Okay.
There's enough people out here doing it for the money, and there's no more money in it. So make sure you love it.
Wow. Estelle,
talk.
with us right here on Dear Caribbean. I want to thank you very much for being with
Thank
us.
you so much.
Awesome.
Appreciate you, darling.
Awesome.
Thank you. What's going on? It's your girl Estelle. You are listening to my newest single, Love Like Ours, on New York Caribbean. Don't go nowhere.
He's smiling, and that's because of me. He's happy, I want the world to see. We're living ever happily, yeah. I'm wondering honestly. How could you not see that we are in love? How could you be talking to talk that stuff? After all this time, now your feelings tough. But don't